21 Board of Directors is now called to order. So with that, John, confirmation of proper notice.
Notice was posted on the 14th according to statutory requirements.
Thank you. Madam Secretary, roll call, please.
Yes, ma'am. Cookie Finch,
Here.
Roger Schultz,
Here.
I'm here. Shannon,
Hi. I mean, here.
Steve Abul,
Here.
Dick Picola is not here. Denny Palmer,
Here.
George Fisher,
Here.
Monica Heigl,
Yeah.
Claire Dewhurst,
Here.
Tammy Alborn,
Here.
Debbie Dial. No Deb. Barb Carey,
Here.
Sue Downs,
Here.
and John West is still ill.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
I show 11.
Yep,
Okay. So we're ready to proceed. Okay, you have the minutes. I'm hoping you've had an opportunity to review them.
well, I'm still working on it. I just got mine.
Oh, you just got yours?
Yeah.
I don't know, Pam, I apologize. I don't know what happened, but everybody else did. We have this, I guess we're just gonna keep one director in the dark each week, so.
Is that a new game we're playing?
Yes, it's
Okay,
your turn.
I've had my turn, that's enough.
Yeah.
So shall we hold off for a while or what?
Oh, no, go ahead, I read
No.
fast.
You're all right? You're scanning through it?
Yeah,
Okay, so with that in mind, do I hear a motion to accept the minutes?
Absolutely.
That's from Shannon. Do we have a second?
I second.
Okay, any discussion on it? All opposed? I guess opposed, raise your hand because it's easier to look if somebody opposed and if they all agree. So I have any hands that oppose it? Okay, so with that in mind, the minutes stand as any discussion.
let
And the
me
minute-
mute that, let me.
Yes? Pam, did you say something? Excuse me?
Just muted because of her dog.
Oh, okay. So then the minutes stand as approved. Thank you. Okay, next thing, our financial matters. And with that in mind, John, will you take over since we know Mr. West is not here on the financial report?
Will do. Thank you. And hopefully he'll be able to join us next time.
Right.
Currently, in the operating fund is 596,776.06. Reserve funds at 1.3 million plus. Our total active cash is 1,906,224.17. Our accounts payable are all taken care of on a timely basis. We have no unearned operating income. We have no unearned table TV, and the only money we have are prepaid assessments, and those are assessments that total almost $200,000, and they're monies that came in before of October 1 for the fourth quarter. Our assets and liabilities balance at $2,095,154.85. Any questions on the balance sheet? Okay, now to the financial summary, and it's going to get a little more possibly complicated than usual because of some of the expenses. Bottom line is that they fluctuate. The good news is that, as I said, all the bills have been paid, so there's nothing outstanding that would make the figures look either way. Our administrative expenses are $16,165.97 over, and that's due to primarily the insurance, as we all know. Our grounds are running under by about 19, with yet a big expense to come of mulch for about $15,000. But we should continue through the end of the year to have a small surplus in the grounds. And that's due to the fact that they had many projects going on to plant plants. But as we've done tours now, we only really have some fill-ins to do. So we'll save a little money on that end this year. The buildings, unfortunately, is well over, and that's due to the electrical $8,000 electrical job that we had to do to bring the power to pool 7 from that building over there, and ground straps. So that's a fly in the ointment, you might say. Security was realized, but two things. We had earlier in the year expenses for the guards, and when we had the lightning hit the office here, we had to buy a new module to run the system because it got fried, and that was about $1,700. Pool and tennis is over by about $5,000, and that's due to leaks primarily in the pool 6 area. We're still working on one. And the good news is almost $24,000 under in utilities, and that helps balance. And that's due to the fact that we've saved on water and sewer, and we are saving on electric, as almost all the outstanding bulbs are now LEDs, or they will be by the end of the year. So for the year, really on a budget of 1.6 million, we are $14,000 over. But the ramifications of that are that that $14,000 cuts into the operating surplus. And if you go down to the operating surplus line item, you'll notice that it's been running at about 140. It's 123. And obviously you have a floor that you've established that you want to keep no less than 100,000 in it. We're going to be talking budget in a little while and talking about taking another 30 from that surplus. The good news is that October, November, December, I don't see any major hits to the budget, and this 123 will probably at least get to the 130, depending how we pay for the electrical ground straps coming up. Are there questions?
John, if I could ask about the financial summary, the sheet before this one.
Yeah.
What was the 12,000 that was in brackets there over by equity net income? The 12,268.95.
Well, that means that we're running over budget by that.
Okay.
But when you put it all together, it really is 14. But when it's an accounting situation. Normally the 14 that we talked about just a second ago and the 12 would be pretty close, and they are. So it's just some miscellaneous things back and forth. By having over income, it shows a little less here than it does on the balance sheet. I mean, on the profit and loss.
Thank you.
John,
Yes.
I just have a quick question. When did we purchase the security camera system for 20 grand?
We purchased the system 2 years ago.
Okay, then
John, Barbara
What?
Chair.
Are you through, Claire?
I think so, yeah.
Okay,
I'm
just
sorry.
one thing, subsequent to the lightning hit here, we went ahead and installed a surge protector on the building that will now insure us for any future losses, should that happen again. Of course, it could happen with a direct hit, but otherwise FP&L now, we're paying $15 a month on our electricity bill for the office to protect the machines.
Okay,
I'm sorry, Barbara.
No, just on line 24 of this Excel file that Chris has up. Should that read as of September 30th?
Oh,
There's a surplus?
yeah, yes, it is. I'm sorry, it's Scribner's error on my part. It should read
Okay.
September 30th.
thank you, Barbara.
Scribner being me. Thank you.
Any
That's,
other questions?
Any other questions?
Okay. John, let's go over to accounts receivable. I think you've got those.
Yeah, accounts receivable in pretty darn good shape when you look at it. No owners owe less than 1/4 and more than 500. No owners owe 1/4. One unit owes 2/4, and one unit is under, as is written in my report, the owners have passed away, and it's in flux. We understand that the bank is foreclosing, and so we're waiting to see how they foreclose. Right now, we understand they're closing in the right manner. So when they do foreclose, we will be getting 1 year of maintenance fees. We will not be getting the entire amount owed.
For those of you who are interested, just if you want to see what John is saying for just some reinforcement, if you look over at his manager's report, he has all the backup for the information he's giving you verbally on his manager's report. If you look and see under accounts receivable as of September 30th, 2021, he has them all listed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And now when we're going to go over to old business, he also has the status there of everything that he's going to be sharing with us. And the first thing that we're going to be talking about there on the old business is the second floor, the walkway.
Yes, thank you. 37 have been complete. We've had an issue with at least 4 owners in the Woodland area that were done almost the same time. So it's probably the same type of issue with some slippage. And we were able to, Steve's as building chair has done some nice research and come up with a product that we were able to apply. And hopefully, Tiffany, things are working well for you now.
Yes, I sent a little update to everyone on Friday, I believe, and we're loving it over here. I would encourage the board to continue applying it to other units that have had the renovation.
Thank you. Good luck to your little dance.
Thank you. It's very happy to see that it worked. Thank you, everyone, for getting it done.
Okay.
And I think the other positive thing, and John, please, John, I think this saves a lot of money compared to what we were doing.
Yeah,
So,
I think what we're going to plan to do and discuss it at the next building meeting is to do away with that
Vinyl.
the vinyl covering and go directly with a thick application of paint, and it could save us. We're averaging close to $5,000 a renovation, and with any fortune at all, we could almost cut that in half, and maybe number one, double the projects we can get done and save money at the same time. Now
that's a real plus.
Yeah, I mean, that may say that the underpinnings may get some moisture over the years, but not nearly as much. And these have lasted 40 years. So hopefully we'll get at least 20 years out of a paint. Minimum.
Nah, I think you get more, but.
Or more. The main
Wonderful.
thing is to stop the moisture going down through the cement slabs.
Wonderful. Yes, Barbara.
John, were we under any contractual obligation with the existing contractor to install the vinyl? Or was that just a unit by unit basis?
Unit by unit.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And the ones that have it that aren't slippery, there's no real issue. It's been fine.
Okay.
Next one is
Next.
building clean.
Right.
Any questions? Any further questions? I'm sorry, I don't mean to jump up. Building
Chris.
cleaning, everything is, I'm sorry.
Chris has his hand raised.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention to all the people that aren't board members here that the agenda, the financial report, and the manager's report are all on the website in the announcements area. So if anybody wants to take a look at any of those documents, they're there.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Chris.
Chris. Okay, we're on our building cleaning. We're down to, without reading all of the villages and the clusters, all we have to do is H and I will be done next Saturday, and J will be done the following Saturday. H and I, yeah. J was done this past weekend, and everything's in good order.
Great.
The asphalt project is mostly complete. We're checking for some low spots. The company's been out twice and added some materials in some areas. And I guess we're waiting for a driving rainstorm to make sure that everything else is in order. But right now, it seems to be mostly corrected. Denny, have you heard any more from anybody since they've done the work?
No, no more complaints so far, so,
Okay, great. And the parking lines have been painted.
yes, the parking lines are painted.
Great.
Hey, we're
Okay,
up to Claire, I think.
yeah, the updating of the operation manual, Claire.
Okay, we have Chris and Dick McCullough and myself have met a few times and have gone through the entire operations manual, which led us to having to go through the employees manual. So it's taking us a little bit longer. I'm also going to pick up the disaster preparedness guidelines because we have to go through them as well. So I am hoping that we are going to have some kind of a proposal for the November meeting. I'm not going to guarantee it, but I sincerely hope that we do. And I received comments from 2 board members. Thank you very much. Once we get the operations manual done, it will be distributed to every board member, and I want every board member to read it from beginning to end. It's a quick read, but I don't want you voting on something that you haven't read. So we'll get there. We will get there. We're working hard.
Yeah, they've done a great job, and they've done a great job. And it's really important because in going through the operation manual, it makes reference to the employees manual. So the only way they could complete the operations is then to go back to when they reference the employees manual. And then there were parts where it referenced the disaster. So it forces them to look at the other documents in order to complete this project. So they're doing a wonderful job, and I really want to thank all of you. I mean, I sat in, and really, they're doing a great job. So thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Claire,
Any
I'll
other
send that.
questions?
I have that disaster for you. I'll send it over after the meeting.
Okay, that's fine. Thanks, John.
Okay.
Any other questions regarding what they're doing or anything? Any comments? Okay, then let's move on. John, big congratulations. Yes, sorry, Monica.
Is there anything in there about increasing the weight of dogs?
No,
Increasing the weights of dogs? Is that
Yes.
what you said? I didn't hear.
yeah,
All
no,
right.
there is not.
And can we make suggestions that we do?
We're having another meeting on November 4th. If you would like to submit some suggestions, you're more than welcome to. You can either email them to me or drop them off at the office and I'll pick them up.
I'll do either one. Thank you.
Okay,
Monica, if you email it to me, I'll send it to Claire.
Okay, not a problem.
Okay, next one, John, great
Okay.
accomplishment.
Yeah, we did get something accomplished. As the last meeting, we reported that we'd sent a letter to Wildewood 2 regarding trimming of the lake behind Cluster W. It had grown quite high, the property that was theirs. And at least 2 units were having their views of the lake almost obliterated. Their manager came and responded and met with me last week, and we established a point where they allowed us to trim about half of what we used to trim. And we did that last week, and now the units affected have their views of the lake back. And I met with the main protagonist, I guess, over there, and she and I are on the same page, and she's happy with the height and what we're doing.
And I want, thank you. That's a great thing. Those owners, when they come back, will be very pleased, the ones that are not here. So that's great, John. Thank you.
Welcome.
Okay, any other questions on that, anybody? Okay, let's move on to new business.
Communication.
Communications.
You all should have copies of letters in your packet. The first one came from Ms. Scalzetti of 273 in response to me writing to her about her dog running free. She obviously contends it hasn't, but I'm sure that if it did, it won't again. Okay, and that's the reason I put hope, hopefully, no, that wasn't hopefully, there's elsewhere. All right, we sent a letter to Miss Gossett regarding her son's driving. There's been no response. The letter sent to the circulation department of the Bradenton Herald about the reckless driving habits of its carrier. No response received, and they refused to accept the certified letter, and it's been returned to us. So apparently they don't care how their driver drives.
Apparently.
New communications. Customer advisor Tiffany Conklin sent me an email, which you have in your packet, regarding some problems with parking issues in Woodland. And to that, we posted something on the bulletin board that hopefully will give everybody an understanding. There seems like some people were under the understanding there were some unwritten laws in our parking, or unwritten rules in our parking rules that really weren't there. And hopefully this will straighten it out. As they get their mail, they can take a look at the response. Any questions regarding that? Finally, this is the hopefully one. Letter was sent to Susan Moore, 535 Lakeside Drive, regarding feeding of undomesticated animals. They have a tendency over there to feed the feral cats, among other things. And what is happening is that they live upstairs, and raccoons are visiting other locations upstairs in that area because of the feeding. And she has agreed not to do it, hopefully. And that's just an editorial by me. I'm sure she will. Finally, a letter sent to Miss Avery at 415 Palm Tree Drive regarding registration of additional person who's moved into the unit. She came in, filed the papers, paid the fee, and the person's been vetted, all okay.
Okay.
John,
Yes,
she was out of town through the end of September. Her 44-year-old son passed away unexpectedly 2 or 3 months ago. So that's probably why she hasn't done anything.
yeah, I agree. She did come in and tell us that, and you know, we understood, but she did take care of everything. So thank you, Monica. It's very sad.
Yes.
That's it on
What
communication.
about the special assessment? Did we take care of that?
Okay, special assessment. All right, as you know, Unit 762 had been non-responsive due to water intrusion into the unit, where the entire unit, and you've had pictures in the past of the mold and mildew that occurred because of their inaction. The association has the rights to go in and repair. The repair was a little bit more than almost $12,500. The association is responsible for much of the drywall, so we can't bill them for everything. But I sent it to the attorney to make sure we could understand to build statutory requirements, because I think what's going to happen, I can't tell for sure, but since they've stopped paying their maintenance fees, we're moving toward foreclosure on this unit. So we add this to the pile that they owe. And if in fact they don't come up with the $9,000 plus the 2 quarters, the association, as soon as they can, will file a foreclosure, and we'll see what happens. We may be getting a unit. As of right now, I do not know if there's a mortgage or what the mortgage is, but the process would be we would take over the unit. If there's a mortgage on it, we would take title and try to sell the unit, never make a mortgage payment, obviously. Let the bank foreclose on us, but hopefully with the way things sell and move, and now that it's been totally renovated, I'm sure we could sell it at a profit to the association.
Pam, did you have your hand up?
Somebody's on the phone and I keep hearing somebody talking about they could mute themselves.
Well, it's Chris, and I don't know how we can get to him.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Now, so what we need is somebody to make a motion to special assess Unit 762 for the amount of $9,918.40 for
I so
repairs
moved.
to the unit.
I so
How much
moved.
was the amount again, John?
The amount that we wish to bill is 99,1840, 9,918.40.
And that's against unit 762. Okay, do I hear a motion?
Yes,
to-
I moved. I moved.
Claire moves that we have a special
I'll second.
assessment. And second was Barbara Carey. Is there any discussion on the matter? Okay, if not, all opposed signify by raising your hand. Okay, with that.
Sue,
Yes,
this should be a roll call vote, I think.
okay, Pam, that's a good idea.
Yeah, so
Madam
let's get the
Secretary,
motion.
take- Yes,
Um,
the motion is
motion-
to, go on,
Assess,
assessment against unit 762 for repair costs in the amount of
I've got that down.
$918.40.
Yeah. Okay, all right, let's go. Cookie, Roger,
Yes.
I say yes. Shannon,
Yes.
Steve,
Yes.
Denny,
Yes.
George,
Yes.
Monica,
Yes.
Claire,
Yes,
Tammy,
Yes.
Barbara,
Yes.
Sue Downs,
Yes,
and John West isn't here. Okay, it's obviously adopted unanimously.
okay. Motion carried. All right, so the next one is a presentation of the 2022 budgets by the Budget Committee. And is John, is Tom here to do that presentation, or are you going to, or what?
I was under the impression Tom was coming, but maybe he got held up. I don't know. But I'll be happy to be of service.
Oh, okay, because I have to tell you, I know I didn't do it before, but I've thought about it, and I actually have talked to John, and I think I feel obligated that I'm going to throw in another option here, just because I think I should at least give this option to the board. I know we have two options here in front of us, and John will go through them with you, but I have a third option that I'd like you to consider. The third option would be, and I want to explain to you why, first of all. In my opinion, when I think about an assessment, I do not think an assessment is a negative thing. According to the definition of an assessment, it is used because there has been an unforeseen increase in some area in the operational budget. Well, in our case, I don't think anybody did anything wrong. I don't think the budget committee did. It was not an oversight. Our manager didn't. We actually put money in the budget for an increase in the insurance. However, who would have ever thought, I think our increase went, John, and correct me if I'm wrong, didn't it go up from, didn't we put in, it was 12% and didn't it go up until like 19% or something ridiculous?
12 to 19. Yeah, we put 335 in the budget. The year before, we had 295. We went to 335 and the bill came in at 376.
Correct. So we did look for an increase in our insurance. So it was in no way any negligence on anybody's part. It just was something, an operational increase that we had no idea it was going to go up that high. So with that in mind, there is nothing negative in having an assessment for any association. So with that in mind, the other thing I would like to say is that when you get ready to sell your condominium, or when I get ready to sell my condominium, there are certain things that make your condominium hold its value. And one of those things is your quarterly assessment. That's one of the footprints that people all say, what am I going to pay a quarter? So we've been very fortunate over the years. Our assessment has not increased very much. Increasing our assessment this year by $240, which we definitely have to do, we need that money, is a huge increase. So I've always tried to keep that foundation a little bit lower so that when we go to sell our unit, that we maintain the value, because that is one of the things that helps you to sell your unit, whether it's you or your children or your grandchildren or whatever. So with those two things in mind, my suggestion, and I'm just a suggestion, I mean, I'm certainly not telling anybody what to do. My suggestion would be to option number 3, use the $30,000 that we have in the reserve, and then come up with, and you can change these numbers any way you would so choose, but to keep everything the way we had it, a $200 special assessment based on an increased insurance that nobody would ever foresee having that much increase. And then have a quarterly increase of approximately $15. That means now when you look at your quarterly increase in your assessments, or if you were to sell your unit, your increase is not going to go up to 60 some dollars. And remember, when I say that amount, I can't say an exact amount because it's always going to be based on the size of your unit. So I'm going to use one amount for everybody, but please remember that amount will change based on the size of your unit. So I'm asking you to consider, or at least discuss, a third option, which maintains or keeps your association fees at a low rate and maintains the selling of your unit, because that is a big thing. We're still keeping the $30,000 option. Only thing, we'll have a $200 special assessment, which is not a negative thing based on an increase in one of our expenses, and approximately a $15 quarterly assessment. So that is open for discussion. You do not have to accept it. It's simply a third thing that I did want to throw out to you. Yes, Pam. Pam?
So, yeah, a $200 assessment this year to help with the increase of insurance costs. And then adding the $15 a month, or a quarter. A quarter, yeah, I'm sorry, I meant a quarter. How does that set us up for next year? Should, let's say, our insurance rates remain pretty constant?
Well, okay, that's a good question. What we're anticipating right now we'll have monies to pay the at minimally 10% to 12% increase that we're anticipating to happen on March 7th, 2022. This budget also has enough money in it, so if we remain at 8 to 12% increase, which they're telling us minimal, we'll have money in March 7th, 2023. So however you go, whether it's option 1, 2, or what Sue is recommending, will be okay on the insurance. That's only one of the, unfortunately, that's only one of the 3 issues that impact the rates. The other issue is, as you know, we've been taking a high of 70,000 down to 50,000. Now this year, $30,000 surplus funds. Those will be gone now. I mean, because the surplus funds aren't gone, but there'll be a minimum of 100,000 in there to take care of any emergencies. But next year, without this $30,000, that means $13 a month a unit to the owners. So we're back in the same building a $13 increase. We will have to have a building increase, build in an increase of $13 a unit a month just to take care of the negative revenue, because the revenue's been gone. I mean, and there's very positive reasons for using that revenue, because it's owners that were living here, and we had the surplus and we've offset the rates, but all good things come to an end, and this is one of them, unfortunately. So
And you know, and let me add to John's
and then we have
input.
I'm sorry.
Can I add to what John is saying? The other thing I think that you need to look at, and you might even consider, remember, we can change it. Both of the plans we have right now are not really considering what John just brought up, as well as, I mean, when I talked to John, when we talked about these electrical lines that we have, and this, remember, nobody is a fortune teller. I cannot tell you what's going to happen. I can only tell you, in the past, we have had, and I wrote this down from John's conversation 2 years ago, we had one bad line. Remember, there's a line for every unit, so that means there are 558 lines. 2 years ago, we had one bad line. In last year, 2020, we had 4 bad lines. We only fixed one and we're fixing the rest. And this year, 2021, we had 1 bad line. Now, does that, there's no pattern. You have no idea how many lines may go out on us next year. Maybe we'll luck out and we won't have any go out on us. But we might have 4 more go out on us. Now, each one of those lines, John, didn't you tell me they cost approximately $1,000?
They run $3,000 to $4,000 depending upon the length of run.
Right,
We're
so-
fortunate we have 2 very small runs and we have 2 kind of long runs.
So right now, either one of these options, including the one I just gave you, is not taking into consideration if we have a higher insurance increase or if we have more of these electrical lines. So maybe you want to consider, instead of having a $200 assessment, having a $300 assessment, and maybe $20 a quarter. Now you're adding a little more money than what we had planned on either option 1, option 2. Option 3 that I'm giving you is simply a different plan. It's a way not to increase your quarterly assessment. I mean, your quarterly assessment. You know, keeping it so that you still keep your marketability. I think it's something you have to consider, because right now when I'm looking at our budget, I have to be perfectly honest with you that we are like, I want to say to you, next year, you got to really tighten up your belt, because we don't know what's going to happen. So, I mean, John, add in, yes, Barbara.
Okay. I'd kind of like to just kind of go over a simplified view for homeowners, unit owners here. Option 1 is saying increase the quarterly maintenance fee by $60, and there's no special assessment, correct?
Correct.
$60, give or take, based on the size of your unit.
Okay, option 2, yes, I'm good with that. Option 2 is saying your quarterly maintenance fee would decrease by $4, but you're going to pay a one-time special assessment of $300.
Right.
Okay, and then option 3, if I heard you right, and correct me if I'm wrong, would be increase the quarterly maintenance by $20 a quarter. And what would the special assessment be?
Depending on whatever but either 200 or 300. I don't care which way you go. It's going to be based on what you think our expenses are going to be next year. I mean, I don't know what our insurance is going to be. We're going to be okay with 200, but I don't know how many of those lines are going to go out.
Right.
I don't know. Maybe we're better off to go with the 300. It's up to the board.
So my overall question then is, the special assessment is trying to catch up on the most immediate needs of the increased billing that's happening within the next year, correct?
Yes.
So so not only do we have to catch up with that, but don't we have to increase the quarterly maintenance for future periods beyond that?
Let's wait and see. We don't know if we need that or not, because actually, I don't even know if we need to go to 300. Because right now, we're going to take care of the insurance. We are projecting and wondering if the electrical lines are going to go out. We don't know that. We have enough for the insurance, it appears.
What about the
We
future?
thought we did last year too.
What about the insurance after next year? Don't we need,
We can only do budgets once a year. You don't know.
I got you. Okay. But the likelihood of then the quarterly maintenance going up in our, say, next year's budget is also going to have to be,
well,
we're going to be revisiting the same question. Do we do a special assessment at that time, or do we again increase, go ahead and increase the quarterly maintenance?
I don't know. I do know that as far as I'm concerned, I would like to see us try as much as possible to keep that foundation of your quarterly assessment as low as possible, as long as we're meeting what our needs are. To go up $240 this year on your assessment is a huge jump on your foundation. If you want to do that and the board agrees to do it, I'm only throwing out a third option.
Well, the third option, meaning the special assessment will be something less than 300. And the increase in quarterly maintenance is just like $20 per unit per quarter, roughly, depending on, right? So it's a little
Yes.
something extra. Now,
Yes.
when you do it that way, does that mean that you would need to use less from the operating surplus?
No, I
No.
say you'd use that, the same amount, the 30,000.
Same amount. You're still meeting the same amount. Okay. Gotcha. Thank you.
Because there may not be any next year, but there might be. You don't know, because we don't know what's going to happen next year. And we might have enough, like I say, to cover our insurance without any problem. It's again, next year, you look at your budget and see where you are. It's just a different plan that I've thought about and said I better at least propose. Remember, that is one of the things that sells your unit. So you want to keep it as low as possible and still meet all of your expenses.
Right, but that's only addressing the issue for 1 year. And
That's
it
all
only,
you ever do.
right, but you're only then like your pro is you're trying to minimize the impact on selling a unit, but that again is
Well,
only for
really,
that
it's not.
1 year
You-
timeframe.
Both of these plans are only addressing 1 year, and they're only doing like $240 a year.
Well, I
They're
guess I
all
don't-
addressing just 1 year.
I guess I don't see insurance as ever coming back down. It's always going to stay at that level.
Probably, but all of these plans only address 1 year. Barbara.
Okay.
No
Thank
matter
you.
which plan we use, we're not going to have the advantage of $30,000 to start with in the future years.
Well, I don't know if that's true or not. I think that's a good assumption, but I will say, just like if we save approximately $30,000 on the stoops that we're doing with this paint, if we cut 50% of that down, that'll be a saving.
You know, okay, all right. You're not saving because you didn't spend something. You're just saying
No,
you
you're
don't
not.
spend it.
That's right. And the other thing is
Right.
that, and I never know, because this is an old community, so we have to always keep that in mind. Remember, we had a lot of problems with the stack pipes. I don't even know what that totally cost us. So if we get a year or two and we get a break on some of these things, we might once again accumulate money in that operating fund. But I don't know, because we are an old community. But there
Going
might
back-
be a couple of years that we get a break and we don't have a big thing happen.
Going
Barbara?
back to George's point is, has the contractor's cost for this vinyl installation on the second floor units been removed then from the future budgets?
No, if I may,
John,
it was calculated before we had these issues that 15 of the units could be done next year at the existing costs. The benefit will be, it's already in the reserve account. These are reserves versus operating. So if we were to say to cut in half, maybe we would do 30 units instead of 15, but we still have the money, and that's already set aside in the reserves.
But we wouldn't need to use all that money for that, because if we're not doing vinyl anymore and we're only doing paint, there's a
Well, that's what
significant.
I'm saying, Barbara. Right now, we're spending about $5,000 per with the vinyl.
Okay,
If we can get away with using this absorbent type paint that stops the moisture flow, and the costs go to say 3,000 instead of 5,000, then we've got 15 times 5,000, $75,000 in the reserves next year. We can do more. We have 141 to do. We've only done 37. We have 104 more to go. So that would enable us, without changing anything in these budgets, to do maybe 30 next year, because it's a long range project.
So you're
But that
talking
wouldn't
about
impact
still
our- That
just,
wouldn't impact our operating or anything like that.
Ultimately, it would cost us.
okay.
long.
Yeah. If I make myself clear, I'm sorry.
Claire?
I would just like to say, personally, I would like to see us do a $300 assessment with a less of an increase on the quarterly maintenance fees and build up a little extra, because we know there are going to be increases in a lot of things. We don't know what they're going to be, but if we had a little bit of a cushion, it might lessen the impact next year, as opposed to just doing the 240 or 60 or whatever it is and have nothing. That would be my opinion.
Thank you, Claire. Any other comments? Yes, Roger.
I guess it depends on how the owners would look at the overall expenditure. If you go with the 30,000 from the surplus right now and the $60 a quarter increase, that's one way to look at it and to build a little bit of extra in there. If you take that same 30,000, do a $300 assessment, and then raise the fees another 20, that's a $45 increase if you look at it as a quarterly increase, okay? So it's only $15 difference the way I'm doing the math. Either way, I think we do get a little bit of extra in the pot going forward for next year, because as we're making the assumption, it's very possible we won't have any extra surplus to draw from next year. So if we have to do a raise this year and we have to do another raise next year, what's the least painful for all the owners? And
Yeah.
I don't know what the answer is.
Ann?
The increase in assessment is a perpetual charge. We have to, I think we need to look at our current economic situation in this country and how quickly prices are rising all over the place. So I'm thinking if we take the pain now, because we have, besides what we don't know we're going to have to spend, we have no idea how much more inflation is going to hit. And most of us are on fixed incomes. So personally, continually raising my assessments might not be an option for me. I would like to do what Roger just suggested, have a cushion and raise our quarterlies at a smaller amount. I'd rather take the hit with the $300 right now.
Which I believe is what Claire said.
While I
That's
have
exactly
it.
what Claire said, right?
Yeah,
Use
while I have
use
it.
a 30,000, a 300 special assessment and the quarterly increase of approximately, I forget even what we said, $20.
Yeah, I just keep watching everything go up. I can't believe what I paid for a piece of beef the other day,
I
and
know.
it's only going to get worse before it gets better, if it does.
So is that option
Barbara?
4? Is that option 4 then?
No,
Uh,
that's
it's
option
just
3. It's
three.
the same plan,
Oh,
just
okay,
different
option 3,
numbers.
okay.
The plan is the same, just different numbers. So if we use the same plan and we're doing a 30,000 option, a $300 special assessment, and then the quarterly increase would be,
$20.
pardon me,
I thought we said $20 for the quarterly.
quarterly increase.
Right.
Was Roger correcting that when he said 45?
I don't remember
No.
what he said. I thought it
No,
was 20.
Barbara, what I was saying is if you take the $300 and spread it over a year, it's another 25 on
Ah.
top of your 20 increase,
Gotcha.
okay?
I
If
got
you
you.
look at it that way, I was just saying
Just
another way
the
to look at it.
The difference is that if you do the $20 on your assessment, that becomes your foundation again for resale, and it's not affected by the special assessment.
Gotcha.
Right.
Okay,
The
thank you.
plan is exactly the same, but you can change the numbers, but I'm inclined to agree with Claire and the other people have talked. That's why I came up with this plan, is that I don't know what we're gonna see next year, and John, please jump in here with me, is that we may be fine and pray and cross our fingers that we get a couple of good years that we don't have any big expenses. But if we don't, if we do a little bit more now with this $300 assessment and still keep our quarterly low, which will ensure resale values, we can maybe make it a little easier, because I have no idea what's going to happen next year. So
Nobody
yes,
does.
Monica.
Talking about your resale values, you have a good realtor and you have high costs, monthly costs, you just offer to give the new buyer 2 or 3 months of free condo fees. That's all there is to it. So much easier. You know, it doesn't have anything to do with resale. We're an old community. And if people buy in here, I'm sure they take that into consideration. And we're still low compared to others. I have a friend who pays over $600 and she pays her own water bills. She lives at the Palm Terrace on El Conquistador. So, you know, I think it's so much easier to just bring up your monthly dues. And then if we don't have anything happening in the next 3 years, we can always bring them down.
They'll
Okay,
never
John,
come.
excuse me,
My
John,
opinion.
excuse me, Claire, did you have something to say? Anybody else?
No,
John, did you want to discuss the other 2 plans, and then we probably need to take a vote on these 3 options?
Hey, yes. Well, I think they're pretty self, we've kind of gone over them, but the first thing we should talk about is the expenses. The committee worked very hard at 6 different meetings to go over and keep the expenses to what they felt would be palatable, if you will, and with the understanding that there could be inflation impacting. Each committee submitted expenses, and for the most part, they were all included where they felt it could. So the expenses right now are solid. The funding is what we've been discussing, okay?
right.
And so option 1 would be as laid out, only using $30,000 worth of surplus. That means, of course, there would be an increase of roughly $20 a unit a month. Actually, it ranges from $60.92 for 2300s down to $56.09 for 900 units. The other option would be not to take the 30,000 surplus, but to have a $300 assessment, which, if that's all you did, there would be a minuscule reduction in quarterly fees of ranging from $4.69 down to $2.74. Obviously, options, Sue's option would modify it somewhat. The 4th option up there, the 5th option would possibly even be to have the $300 special assessment and use the 30,000 surplus. I mean, we're talking so many things here. It's almost, without laying the figures out, impossible for me to give you exact fees without doing some real calculations. We have time constraints because the board needs to accept a budget for mailing a minimum of 2 weeks before November's meeting. Do we have to do it today? No, we could continue this meeting until Wednesday or Thursday or Friday and give me the chance to do certain calculations and send it back to you for review, or you could vote on one of these 2 options that we know for sure. The third one is certainly palatable, but I don't have the figures to have the time
Yeah,
to
so what John is saying, that we could say, well, we want to see what the numbers are for the 3rd option. And the 3rd option follows the same format. It's simply using $30,000, a $300 assessment, special assessment, and then a quarterly assessment of $20. But what he wants to do is put it in a spreadsheet form, just like these other two, so you know exactly what you're going to pay, because that is based on the size of your unit. So he's got the formula in the office. It doesn't take long. We could have that to you by tomorrow, wouldn't you say, John?
Absolutely.
And then Wednesday, if you wanted to, it's just a vote on which one. There are 3 plans, whichever plan you want. Yes, Claire.
I just have a couple of questions in my own mind about the proposals, and it'd be the same for option 3. The kayak rack fees. The projected income is $420. Are we still renting those things?
Yes,
And that's what we get yearly?
yes.
Okay. And as far as the cable TV increase, I realize it's an automatic 5% a year, but have we resolved all the issues we've been having with them?
More or less.
Meaning,
We have a lot, let me put it this way. Lately, we've had a lot less complaints than we've had in the past. A lot
they're
less.
not totally resolved.
Well,
Do
we
you
have,
Do you think they will ever be totally resolved?
well, I think, you know, here again, we're dealing with infrastructure that has age. And many of the problems going on now, they have to come in and replace lines, and they do that. And they have been doing it. They seem to be doing it quicker than they used to.
Is that at our cost or theirs?
That's their cost.
Okay.
That's their cost. So I think we're in a situation where we would be very hard to debate, other than to look for other avenues of providing the service in the future. But we, you know, 3 years ago, we went in depth with the fiber optic, and we found out it was awfully expensive. And we were able to incorporate the internet in at a savings to everybody that had internet of $40.
I'm not disputing that. It just annoys me that we're paying a 5% increase and they're still not living up to what they said they would. But if they are, then that's a moot point.
Mostly in general, I would have to say yes right now.
Okay.
Okay, so can I go back to this and say, do I hear a motion to have John come up with 3 options? Let's see, what's the correct terminology I want to say?
3 funding options?
Yes, to come up with 3 funding options.
I so move.
Do I have a second?
I second.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second. Is there any discussion on it?
May I?
I just want to say one other thing.
Yes, George.
I think it's more important that an association is fully funded and has a healthy reserve and is paying the fees that cover their costs instead of kicking the can down the road with assessments. The other problem with assessments, not for me, I have a 2300. If you want to, do a special assessment and have everybody pay the same amount. I mean, you went from 200 to 300 special assessment, then I'm paying the same as a 900 unit or a 1250 unit or 1550 because you're going to do a $300 assessment for all 558 units.
We can't.
So
George.
that, what's that?
The documents do not allow that to happen. The documents, since we are not paying a cable bill that everybody pays the same, the documents require the.
Oh, so the assessment would be fine-tuned also.
Prorated, yes,
so,
on the
yeah,
size.
I thought I included that, but it would go about 310 for a 2300 down to
Okay.
about 292 for a 900.
So it's just a matter of how we pay for it. The dollar amount is going to come out the same, no matter we pay it monthly or we pay it in one lump or we pay it in a combination thereof.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so
I had a
Any other-
question in
Yes.
discussion, if we may.
Sure.
I think her motion included 3. If I put things together, we may come up with more than 3 if that's what you ultimately want to do. And I just don't want to be restricted to 3 when maybe 4 would show a complete wheel, if you will.
Okay, that's fine, I guess. Claire, did you have
passes.
something to say?
What would the fourth one be? If it's either gonna be what we've got or a $300 assessment.
Yeah,
He
Well,
doesn't
if-
know yet.
Well, right now in front of you, you only have really 2.
yeah, and I
Right.
propose a
But the
third one.
third one that I'm proposing is a $300 assessment added to one of these. And a
With the
$20.
All right, well, let me get it straight then, just so I understand. All right, you want a budget that has a $300 special assessment
Right,
and takes $30,000 from the surplus
Yeah,
right,
and adds
$20,
a quarter to the
$20.
correct.
quarterly assessment.
20 to quarterly assessment. All right, that's 3. All right, I can,
Yeah.
if that's the way you want to go.
Yes,
Well,
Pam.
we have to
So-
vote.
so basically,
Instead of voting, can we just vote to suspend this vote for a day or 2 and then reconvene?
yeah, that's,
rather than-
we would not adjourn this meeting. We would continue this meeting to a
Right.
time and date certain.
Okay,
We're not voting on this motion? I don't,
No, we got to vote on your motion.
On this motion, we will, but then we will
not on the plan. that we're
not
gonna-
ending the meeting,
Okay,
okay? So we are voting, I mean, let's see, I said that we were voting to have John come up with, and I had the motion and we had the second, we had the discussion. And so Pam, we need a
we
call
do
for
need
vote.
a roll call on this one? you think?
Yes,
Chris has got his hand up.
I'm sorry, Chris.
I'm just kind of disappointed that this third proposal wasn't brought up to the budget committee. You're sort of bypassing the budget committee on this. And they brought 2 proposals to the board. They were both carefully considered by the budget committee. And now you're bringing up a third proposal that the budget committee hasn't had an opportunity to even take a look at. So I just don't think this is a great idea. I think that, in my humble opinion, the maintenance fee increase is long overdue. And that it's not going to impact sales prices because the units are selling within a day or 2 here. So I don't think that has any impact at all. I asked John at the budget committee meeting, I said, are the maintenance fees in Wildewood, how do they compare to other associations in this area? And I think you said, John, that we're one of the lowest. Is that right?
That's correct. As a matter of fact, the president of Wildwood 2B has come in. They're at $475 a month right now and going up to $500 a month. And they actually have asked me to bring before the board a possible merger of associations to try to control their costs.
Any other comments?
Yes, before we
Yes,
vote on,
George.
before we vote on that motion, I'd like to make a motion that we accept the budget that was recommended by the budget committee of the $60 a month increase and the using the 30,000 of the operating surplus. And then see if how that goes, if anybody wants to second that motion.
With all due respect, there's a motion on the floor that has to be handled first, George, and then we can go. We can't have 2 motions at the same time.
Okay.
Steve has got his hand up here.
Steve,
Yeah, I spoke with a lot of people about the budget in my Springdale community, plus actually a couple in Sherwood at the pool. And, you know, the positive thought from those people, all of them, was to go with the $60 increase. And like John said, we're so far behind other associations in this area and we're so much better off than they are. Spring Lakes, I just heard, is having a $8,000 assessment because they're not being managed right. But that's just, like I said, there was 12 to 15 people who, agreed on, we need to increase our dues and just be with it. Because that, if you look at it, we haven't had a raise since 2011. We had a $10 increase 2 years ago, but we also had a $50 reduction 2 years ago because we didn't have to pay internet anymore. So we're really $40 less, than we were 2 years ago. And with this $20 increase, we're still going to be, way less than we were. So it's a fact of life. Things go up. I think we just need to bite the bullet and increase the dues. It's not going to do anything to our sales. You ask any realtor, these units go in a day. So that's
Thanks, Steve.
You're welcome.
I just, maybe I can add just something from Nancy Baker, who Nancy's been on the budget committee for the past 4 years. And it was interesting. She did some research and found that this year she was paying 72 cents less per quarter than she did 5 years ago.
Claire?
I would just like to say, is the $60 increase per quarter going to give us any kind of a cushion, or is it just going to cover what we have to cover? Because if it is, I think that we should do a special assessment.
There are three, to answer that question, and I don't mean to be redundant. There are three major impacts to our budget increase. One is the surplus we're using and won't have next year.
Right.
Two, insurance should be taken care of with this increase because we'll have monies for the next 2 years. The third issue is the cable, and it's going to go up again next year.
And
So,
also we have the electrical thing that is not addressed.
well,
in
and
this
the
budget.
electrical things we might be able to work out in reserves.
So we won't have a cushion
No,
with the $60.
no.
No, that's right. We're taking care of one of the three issues for sure, and the other two not. You're right.
Well,
But we will
I
have
think we
that.
need to think ahead.
Any other comments? Okay,
If-
that's what,
if- if-
discussion is good to have it. So that's good to have these discussions. And if the board doesn't want to do it, that's fine. But at least, we've had a discussion on it. So we'll repeat, the motion was to, if we want to go and have three options or not. We had a motion to have John come up with three options. We had a discussion on it. We had a second, then we had a discussion, and we are now at the point that we're going to have a vote on whether or not John shouldn't come up with three options or not. And we're going to have a verbal on that. And so,
Sue,
Pam,
I
will you
think,
please? Wait,
Sue,
yes,
I think Shannon wanted to say something and he couldn't.
I'm
get-
sorry, Shannon, I didn't see you.
That, I heard Chris talking about bypassing the budget committee. I hear Claire saying, let's not kick this down the road again. Maybe John will come up with a proposal that will give us some cushion into the future. But I heard those being good talking points. I'm sorry, I'm just trying to go through
That's
this. in my
fine,
own
that's
head.
fine, Shannon. That's what it's
Yep.
for. That's why we need to have this discussion. Appreciate it.
I suppose I'm
I'll-
going to vote for the proposal because John may come up with something that will allow us more cushion.
Thank you.
And I would
Okay.
just like to say one more
Roger,
thing,
yes,
Sue.
yes, Roger.
And again, it may address Chris's concern. Chris, I was on the budget committee and was at several of the meetings. And we had multiple proposals that we were talking about. These are the two we came back with, but I will tell you that neither the other two that we didn't consider, none of them had this progression of all three possibilities of using the surplus, having an assessment, and increasing the quarterly maintenance to come up with a cushion. That was never discussed at the budget committee. So maybe this is the right step to take another look, which is why we have the opportunity to discuss it now.
Thank you, Roger. Anybody else?
No, but I forgot who made the motion and who seconded it.
The motion was made by Claire
Claire.
Dewhurst, seconded by Cookie Finch.
Okay, so now we're going to take a vote. Pam, would you please call out the vote?
Yes, ma'am. Cookie Finch,
And this vote is whether or not John should come up with 3 options.
another option, yeah.
Yes, I agree. John should come up with an option.
Roger,
Yes,
I think he should as well. Shannon,
Yes.
Steve,
No.
Denny,
Yes.
George,
No,
Monica? Monica? Yoo-hoo, Monica.
She's got her mic on.
No,
Claire,
Yes,
Tammy,
Yes.
Barb,
No,
I'm sorry,
no,
Sue Downs.
Yes,
Okay, the motion passed.
I got 8-4, yeah.
That's exactly what I have, John.
so with that in mind now, we go and we're not going to close this meeting, right? But we have other things to go through, don't we, John, on your
Yeah,
meeting?
yeah, go continue on and then we can decide what we do later.
Yeah, well, most of it now is on the manager's report. I believe we have not covered everything
Correct.
on the manager's report, and then we'll go on to the rest of it.
Okay. All right, the budget, general items. Swarm of honeybees were found invade behind the siding of 734. And we had to bring out exterminators to remove the bees. So that's been done. Another leak was found at Spa 6, leading from the pump underground to the spa. I've taken it upon myself to have them open the whole thing there so we won't have any future leaks, because there've been leaks that we've looked like piecemeal because it was not anticipated it would be so bad. These lines are almost 40 years old. It'll take a reserve so it won't impact anything. The next issue also is the what we talked about before about the ground straps. Here again, the FP&L is responsible to bring the power from outside to the transformers. FP&L is responsible to take the power from the transformers to what they call handholds. Each building has a handhold, and from there, the power is distributed to each unit. The association is responsible to take the power from the handhold to the unit. There's been some failures. Sue talked about it. And on November 4th, we'll be fixing hopefully all of them. That cost could be somewhere up into $10,000 to $12,000 to $14,000. It's all we have is operating or reserves. We have what's called pool reserves. Do we have something that would call electrical lines or buildings in general? No, but we could take the monies from that reserve, say from buildings that are or from roofs that are still 10 years, 12 years away, and make it up in a period of time and pay these bills out of the reserves, or we could pay from out of operating, which will continually lower the operating surplus because it's not in the budget.
Could I add something to that, John, just as an FYI to the board members? Remember, John is offering you 2 options to pick up this money. One, you could take it out of the reserves, like where we have money in the roofing, because that's what you can always move in the reserves from one account to another. But in most cases, when you take it from the reserves, you take it from one so you have enough years that you put more money into it. But when you take it from reserves, and that's a perfectly legit way to do it, if some way you got to get that back in there so that in time, when it comes time to do the roofs or the painting, that you've gotten that money back in it to take care those
Right.
accounts in the reserve. So, you know, you got to be able to do that. Now, if you take it out of the operating, remember, we've decided as a board that you want to keep $100,000 in the operating fund in case we have an emergency. Now, if you choose, you could say, well, right now, maybe we'll pay for this out of the operating and we'll dip down temporarily down to $90,000 in our operating for our expenses. And we've done that before, but I want you to understand that those are your two options. And those are the ways that you can, what the consequences are. If you take it out of the operating, you might say temporarily, we're going to drop down to 90,000 in case there's an emergency. If you take it out of the reserves, you say, that's okay. We'll make sure that we get it back in there by the time those expenses come in. I hope that's clear. Thank you, John.
Thank you. That was very clear. So, bottom line is you pay for it sooner or later.
That's right. Okay, so John, that was a great report. Thank you. Any questions, anybody on John's report?
Well, my question is, does the board or have an idea of the way they would like to go to pay with these bills that are coming in for the electric situation? Is there a preference for using the surplus, just run over budget, or do we take it from the reserves and have to pay it back down the line?
Open for discussion, folks.
Let's take it from the surplus.
Yeah, I agree.
Motion, please.
That's John's proposal as well.
Okay, so you want to take it from the operational surplus, which is fine.
Really should, yeah.
Yeah, that's where it should be.
I agree. That's the most feasible way to do it. The
I
most
do too. Do we need to take a vote on that, John, or?
don't have to, but I mean, it's up to y'all. I mean, it's a normal, it's something we have to
Yeah.
do, pay for it as we normally do. I don't think we need a motion. We just have an understanding.
Okay, good. Okay, that's fine.
Finally, there's been 243 repairs or requests handled since our last meeting. That's the end of my report.
Wow.
All right, thank you. Committee reports. Let's see, let's go to our list of committees. Well, Tom isn't here, but we got his report via John, which is good. Steve, building?
Building committee, well, we talked about all the decks and the second floors and the mildew. The building committee took a vote and unanimously decided to table the carports discussion until next year. And the reason is our one contractor who is willing to give us some pricing based on our original blueprints can't get a price on some of the materials because of the lack of the materials and the backlog. So we could wait for that for next year. Any other contractor is going to insist on new plans and specs, which would cost us in the tens of thousands, you know, and that's even before an owner's vote. So we thought that the most responsible thing to do is just put it off till next year, let our contractor give us a ballpark estimate and then proceed from there. So that's where we stand on that.
Thanks, Steve. Let's see. Covenant, Maryland,
Browns.
Peter.
Yeah,
Are you here, Peter? How you doing? Nice to
Hey,
see you.
Peter.
finally.
Yes.
I rode around with John when I finally came back. And
Nice.
thanks to John and the crew, this place is looking great, just like when I left. It's great. And looking back, when we dove into that, replacing all the shrubbery and plantings, the front, the sides, and the back over a 2-year period, you were wondering, is this going to work or are we going to get shot in the foot? Well, it's definitely working. We used to average anywhere from maybe 6 to 8 every week and a half, buying plants, having the nursery bring them in. Now we ride around and maybe find 1 plant or 2 plants that we have to replace that are sickly every 2-3 weeks. So it's definitely paid off. I mean, on And the only thing I have to address now is some more of these boxes at the village signs. Some of them are fine, others are in bad shape, so we got to address that. And we've been replacing trees as we go. And actually, John can attest to it, we don't really have a lot of phone calls about repairs or anything with grounds, right?
Well, let's just say that we're able to handle those that come in
With,
and you know, they're not rashes of them.
yep. So everything looks good. Everything looks really
We've had a
good.
couple issues. We had a lightning strike behind 511
Yeah.
that not only took out
Yeah.
the entire irrigation system at that time, but it ran down and got solenoids all over the lakeside and part of Palm Tree. And all of a sudden things started drying up, but we found the issue and we just had to buy $500 worth of materials to bring it all back to speed because of that lightning.
Yeah.
And we had lost 4 major trees from it. The solenoids have been replaced everywhere and the system's now running again.
Other than that, that's about it. And just like you say, you know, you can't plan on certain things. Things happen like lightning
Yeah.
strikes and so forth, and you have to address it as it comes. But so far, we're doing well.
Thanks, Pete. It's good to have you back.
Okay.
I have a question for Pete.
Yes, Pam.
In cluster D, we had some vandalism and some of the new bushes that were planted. One morning I got up to walk the dog and I noticed a whole bunch had just been brand new bushes, just pulled out and left. Well, Jeff replanted them, but by that time, it was the middle of the summer, it was hot. We have several, if you come and look, we have several that are blank. And then I had one that was doing very well. And then when they trimmed the palm trees, the debris fell on the bush and broke it. And I tried to put it back in, and it didn't work. So we
Okay.
have a few that need replacement.
Okay, Pam, we'll take care of that.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, Chris.
We had our IT meeting on the last Friday of the month, which is our usual meeting date. And we discussed again some of the ways to digitize some of our documents, or if not, most of our documents. Jane Spratt, who's one of our IT committee members for a long time, volunteered to actually to start to do some digitizing. And so I think we're going to get started on that shortly.
Wonderful. Thanks, Chris. By the way, just as a record, you know, I was trying to figure out, I never can remember what time the bug guy is coming here in the backyard because I never remembered to unlock my door. So I went online to our webpage and I have to compliment that party. And of course, you know, they had the whole schedule of when they were coming. I printed it off and now it's posted out in the kitchen. So I know when the bug man is coming and when I have to unlock my back door for outside. So there's just so much information. He's done so many things there. I mean, I got a list of all of the cluster representatives. By the way, Roger, I see you are also a cluster representative, which I think is marvelous. You're not? Oh, well, obviously we got to fix that list. It's not right.
I had to go off of that when I went on the board.
Oh, well, that's not right. We got to get that fixed anyway. But almost anything you want, Chris, you've done such a great job on that. You know, I'm looking here on roads and infrastructure. Still, we don't have anybody on that to take care of that. John, I know John Humphrey is no longer here. Does anybody know, or can we put a posting on the board or something?
Yeah, we did it a while back. We can redo it. Absolutely.
Okay, thank you. And any new person that comes in to buy something, see if you can get them to be interested in that.
Yeah,
Okay, Tammy, swimming pools, hun.
John mentioned the leak that's in pool 6 is an ongoing repair. Pool 5 had a light inside the pool that was sitting on the deck that has been repaired. The next pool meeting, pool 7 had minor repairs when we did to prevent slips, trips, and falls when we viewed pool 7. Our next meeting will be November 8th at pool 2, 10 a.m.
Thank you very much. Okay, director's comments. I'm just
Energy.
Shannon, I'm sorry, Shannon, excuse me.
Yes, really.
I
would
really am
just-
sorry
would
because I
just
love
like-
your meetings.
I'd like to call people's attention to the fact that that the utilities bill is $24,000 less, and we still are projecting 407, almost 408,000 in the future. So there's a lot of energy to be saved there. And as far as proposals, we decided at our meeting, not yet, but fasten your safety belts. End of
Okay,
report.
thank you, Shannon. I apologize. Directors, any comments? Raise your hand. Monica?
I have a comment on his utility bill decrease. Canada has had their borders closed for almost 2 years. So a lot of your Canadians have not been visiting. A lot of Europeans that we have in our complex have not been visiting. So you have very small water bills, therefore.
Oh, okay, Claire?
I would like to ask, when are we going to consider having in-person meetings?
We had put it on our agenda. When were we going to take a vote on that again?
First of the year.
First of the
January
year.
meeting, January meeting, yes. It was tabled until January.
Thank you.
Take it off the table if.
Do you want to bring it up earlier, anybody? Or do you want to keep it? Okay. Okay. Any other director comments?
Steve,
Speak for yourself.
Steve has his hand up.
Okay, Steve, sorry.
Just think that all of the directors of the different villages really should go out and talk to your constituents, knock on some doors and ask them what their views are on these budget decisions, because you're supposed to be representing them.
And I agree, you should go out and talk to your people.
You really should get at least a small proportion of what maybe which one of these three options that these people might be interested in. That's all I got.
Thank you. Any other directors? Okay, then let's go to owners who are here visiting and having at the meeting. Owners. I don't know how I can even see you, how you can. I mean, they're owners here, obviously.
I'm here. I don't have a comment.
Tom,
Tom?
may I say something to Tom?
Yes.
Tom, we
Yes.
checked every bench supply known to man, and there's nothing available right now.
Okay,
But I'll let you know on another subject, okay?
thank you.
Tom, do you have another comment?
No,
That was it? Anybody else?
Well, to Monica's point, if I may, they opened the border yesterday,
Yeah.
Good.
so we may see some of our friends.
I have a comment, a question. I have
Yeah,
a
Mark.
question. Yeah. I've heard all this discussion back and forth about a one-time assessment and quarterly assessments. If you end up with a one-time assessment and quarterly assessments, how will that one-time assessment be billed? When will it be billed?
Well, I think that's up to the board. I think there's all kinds of ways. John, you want to say that there are different configurations?
You're absolutely right. It is up to the board if in fact they enact it. The more I'm thinking about it, yeah, it's going to get convoluted because we can't adopt a special assessment at a meeting like this. We'd have to send out a 2-week notice before we do it, number one. And when it would be done, you could say it could be paid in 1, you could pay it in 2, you could pay it quarterly. I mean, so that's up to the board's discretion.
So it's quarterly payments no matter what. I mean, the whole thing is.
Well, you don't have to.
doesn't-
You could pay it all in one time.
Yeah, but okay. My comment is it really doesn't matter. That's my comment.
Yeah.
You can do it any way you want to, yes. The one thing that matters is it doesn't increase the foundation of your quarterly assessment.
I don't agree with that, but that's
That's fine. That's fine. Anybody else have a comment? Now, we need to decide how we do not end this meeting, John. So I'm not sure.
All right. A
Because-
motion would be in
calling
order.
in.
A motion would be in order to continue this meeting to a time and date certain.
Okay. So what would be the time and date that we think we want to do this? Don't we have to include that? Would it be,
Yes, oh, yes. So it's up to you all.
so look at your calendars.
John, do you have to post the continuation?
No, you don't have to.
Okay,
So how would Wednesday look on people's
Roger?
calendar?
Yes.
It's not necessary, but we probably would do it because, just to let people know.
okay.
So if you're posting it, John, what would be the earliest that you could have it?
Well, I could get this done tomorrow and have it to somebody tomorrow afternoon to all
But I
of you.
mean, the posting, how long do you have to have the
No,
posting?
no, don't have to post. The meeting it's been posted. It's just continued. I
Okay,
would just do it. I would do it so everybody would know or remind everybody when it would be. But as long as we're in a duly posted meeting that's just not over.
Well, what about Thursday or Friday of this week? And let's get it done.
Yeah, I agree.
Oh, you got to do it quick. Yeah. But now what I'm trying to do now is, yeah, and I'll research it because if a special assessment is included, that changes the publishing dates. I'll get it worked out. Don't worry. Let me worry about that.
well, when do we decide when we're having a meeting? You couldn't tell us or what?
No, it's up to you.
Yeah,
Could we have it
so
on
when you, so
Friday?
look at your calendars.
I don't have my.
How
I'm
about
reti-
Monday,
I'm
the 25th?
retired.
Wait a minute, one person at a time, please. Claire, did you say something?
I would like to have it this week, Thursday or Friday.
Okay, how about Thursday? Let me get my book. I don't, just one, do you have your Thursday?
6
Thursday's
a.m.
good. Thursday's
6
good.
a.m.
You could have it in the morning. You could have it in the afternoon. You could have
Okay.
it whenever you want.
How about Thursday? I'm gonna throw this out and just see what your calendars say. How about Thursday at 11 a.m.?
This Thursday. What's the date?
21st.
Thursday night,
21st.
Rest this afternoon.
October 21st at 11 a.m.
I'm assuming we can zoom in.
Yes.
Oh, absolutely.
For me, it would have to be in the afternoon.
Okay, then we change that now to how about Thursday at 1 p.m.?
That's
Works
better.
for me.
Fine for me.
Anybody
better for
it's
me.
not fine for? Thursday, October 21 at 1
How
p.m.
about two? How about two?
2?
Yeah.
Okay, Steve, you're becoming a real pain. I hate to break the news
That's all
to
right.
you.
You're interfering with my golf game now. That's
Cutting.
Oh, come on. give up.
Oh, the pain.
Okay, I'm gonna do this again. Thursday, October 21 at 2 p.m.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
Is everybody okay with that? Steve, if you're not okay, you have to give up your golf,
Oh, no, I'll be okay at 2 o'clock.
Chris,
okay?
Can we vote by
I don't-
proxy?
I
Chris,
don't know
Pardon me?
what that is, Hawaii time, but I'll try to
Dennis,
be
what
there.
did you say?
I don't know what that is, Hawaii time, but I'll try to be there.
Are you gonna be in Hawaii?
You bet.
Oh, man, that's
lucky you.
nice.
There's no
Chris.
time change there.
Well, I'll show you the palm trees.
Oh, we don't see any palm trees?
You have the same
Exactly.
ones.
True.
Exactly.
Claire,
That's about, it's about 9 o'clock out there at that time.
Okay,
Perfect.
Chris, are you going to be able to host that at that time?
Yes.
Okay.
all right, so we're all okay. It's Thursday, October 21 at 2 p.m.
Yep.
Yeah.
With that- Okay, adios. We're not closing this meeting. We're simply saying, have a wonderful day. See
Somebody
you
make a
later.
motion.
God bless. John,
need-
anything?
We need a
I
motion.
make a motion that we continue this
Oh, and
meeting.
we need a motion to continue with a time and date
minute.
specific. The
Okay.
time is 2 p.m. and the date is October 21. I need a
I so
motion.
move.
I
I
second.
so move.
Second,
Okay, now wait a minute. Claire made the motion and Pam seconded it, right? And then
It
you
was-
need to take a vote, Pam.
Well, no, why don't we just say, you can just ask for opposed on this one.
Okay, anybody opposed, raise your hand. I don't see any hands, so is there a discussion? No.
No.
Okay, then the motion is carried. And I will see you all Thursday at 2 p.m.
2 o'clock.
October 21.
See you then.
Okay, adios.